Hi, everyone. I'm Vanessa Pollock with Pollock Properties Group of Keller Williams, and I am so excited to have this conversation today, sitting inside of 697 Prospect Street in Maplewood, New Jersey, with its builder. I'm pleased to introduce you to Wendy. Wendy, welcome to your house that you built.
Yes, thank you. My name is Wendy McEwen, and I live at 695 Prospect Street, which is how this whole story started.
Well, I'm excited that we get to take this time to talk about this project because it's really, really unique, and it's a very special opportunity for anyone thinking about moving into Maplewood. So would you tell us a little bit about how this whole project came to be?
This whole project came to be because of 695, which is a Victorian that was built in 1890. And I've lived in Maplewood for over 20 years now. And I watched the house because I love a Victorian. And it was in disrepair. And one day I drove past and there was a sign outside for sale. So immediately I made an appointment to look at it. And when I did, we found out that this was a double lot. And it was buildable land, which nobody knew about when you were driving past. You couldn't see that. And I got into the real estate business through staging. So I had been staging at that point for over 10 years. And I thought, my first thought was, oh no, someone's going to build a horrible house here. And I went home and I spoke to my husband about it, and I said, hi, guess what we're going to do? We're going to renovate a full Victorian, and then we're going to build a house next door. Are you up for it? And he said, yeah.
Well, that is a huge project.
Yes.
And it's good that he said yep, because I'm sure you've had to
We totally have done it together.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been a lot of work.
Absolutely. How long has this process taken from the time that you purchased 695 until we're sitting here today?
8 years.
8 years?
Yes, 8
Wow.
years of thinking, planning, making the plans, working with the architect, and a year for building.
But what are your favorite features of homes in this area that you've seen over the years?
My favorite homes are rooms that are big enough to be comfortably lived in, but not too big to clean. Because I was in so many houses where people were using maybe a quarter of their real estate. Because nowadays with families, life is busy, and I think all the rooms should be usable. They should flow together, and they should be comfortable. And that was my main focus for building this design.
That makes so much sense. So the fact that you're able to find buildable land and start from the very begining is almost unheard of. Like, I can't
Absolutely.
remember the
Yes.
last completely new build in Maplewood.
Yes.
But what I particularly love is that you're a woman. You're a female builder.
Yes.
And so often the builders in this area and people who are renovating homes, it's a male-dominated industry.
Right.
But I gotta tell you, this house is so special because of not only your incredible project management and ability to create a solid quality product, but your feminine touch. So talk about that aspect of your building process when it came to this house.
What I thought was important, Vanessa, was to have a house that was beautiful but practical. Form follows function. So that's what I was taught when I was trained as a designer. So I incorporated a lot of things that you don't generally see or think about, but help the flow of life, help the flow of the house. So I always have a mudroom because kids don't open doors and put things in closets. I always have a kitchen desk because it's much easier to pay bills and go on to power school and things like that in your kitchen when your kids are nearby, as opposed to upstairs in an office. I always incorporate medicine cabinets because I don't want my stuff rattling around a drawer in a vanity. I always incorporate vanities. I was in one house several years ago when someone was flipping it, I was staging it, and in the primary bathroom they had a freestanding sink. And I said, is there not a vanity going in here? And the builder said, no, we don't need one. And I said, yeah, you do. Where are you putting your hairdryer? So those kinds of things. And in the kitchen, I don't want to be bending down all the time. So I always have rollouts. I always have a pantry. I always try and incorporate things like the spice drawers, things like that. Things that just make life quick and simple and look beautiful. And I think it's just planning to have these things. You plan them at the beginning.
Well, it's so beautifully planned. So let's take a little bit of a walk through each of these rooms. Will you describe for us the kitchen and all of the features that you put into it?
Okay, the thinking behind the kitchen was that I wanted it to be warm. So you see the kitchen first thing when you come down the stairs in the morning, and I always think about coming down in the winter or on a rainy day, and you want to feel a warmth, you want to feel happy that you're up. So I wanted a lot of light in here as well, so that's why we have the light and the movement in the counters. And I wanted a little bit of luxury, and that's why we have Italian heritage appliances. And then we have rollouts, we have a pantry, all of these things that make it convenient but look beautiful.
It's stunning.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes, I'm really happy with how it came out.
Describe to us the primary bedroom, closet, bathroom suite, please.
The primary bedroom has a window seat so that you can sit and look out over your backyard. Yeah, I wanted to make a closet that you could find things in easily. You could feel like you were always organized. And then the bathroom is a mix of what the whole house is. Vintage feel with modern updates. So the faucets are all very sleek, but they're in a kind of vintage color. And then we have the natural wood in there, and then we have the classic black and white marble, which never goes out of style.
That bathroom absolutely took my breath away the first time I saw it. And it wasn't even, you were midway through the construction.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
The tile had just gone in,
yes.
And we walked in, our team, Kitty, our stager, and myself with you, and we just gasped audibly.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It is that perfect blend of vintage with modernity. It's just so elegant, but it is so functional again.
Yeah.
Yeah, gorgeous. Yes. When you think about the first floor flow, talk about the first floor from entering the door and what you envisioned when you were planning out this space.
Well, that's one of my favorite things is that door. The house plans were built around that door and the side lights. I got them maybe 3 years ago, and the door came from Paul Lewis, who is our local expert on vintage, and he held that door for me for 1.5 years, and I incorporated it into the plan. So I love just swinging that door open. It's beautiful. It's a quality piece of oak. Then when you come in, my idea for the living room was that it was like an intimate space where you could sit and meet your friends and have a drink and feel elegant. And then the dining room, it was important to me that it was connected to the kitchen. But again, back to staging days, I staged a lot of spaces where they were completely opened up and they were like bowling alleys. It's very hard to feel comfortable in a room like that. So what we have downstairs are defined rooms that are open to each other, because if you don't have a corner, you've got nowhere to put a bar cart. If you don't have a corner, you've got nowhere to put an extra chair when your friends come over. You're just sitting in an open space, and humans don't feel comfortable like that. They need to feel surrounded.
Well, each room, it gives you a hug.
Yes, exactly.
Those corners wrap their arms around and give a hug. I love the front door. I love that you picked an antique, like vintage, old hardwood.
Yeah.
Like, it's so heavy.
Yes, yes.
Then you brought in these antique pieces with the windows on either side. And you even brought in a leaded glass antique window into that front living room.
Yes.
It's just beautiful.
Well, the whole idea was if I was going to build a house here, it was going to be a house that, as much as is possible with a new build, that didn't look out of place. Mm-hmm. Because Prospect Street is a grand street in Maplewood, and I didn't want there to be an eyesore on the street. So that's why we have a porch. because it sets the house back more and it gives that feeling of hospitality. And, you know, when people were building on Prospect Street, that was important. So that's why I try to continue these vintage ideas and elements throughout the house. And that's why it's important to have good millwork as well, because there's a lot of new builds where you don't even have, you know, a baseboard.
Right.
You can't live like that. You know, things get scuffed.
Of course. I just want to make note right now. We're sitting in this house. I can't hear anything.
No.
There's no
quiet.
sound. And part of that is because you built the house so far back on this lot to really give it a sense of privacy.
Yes.
And it's remarkably quiet. But what are your favorite aspects of living on Prospect Street?
Prospect is central to everything. So you can so easily walk to the station in town. When we moved here, my daughter was just going to middle school, and that's when kids start walking by themselves around here. And I loved it. It was a direct shot down to middle school. She was on her own for the first time. It was a good and easy walk. You're just a few minutes to get onto 78 from here. And parks, you can walk up Tuscan to the park, you can walk down Tuscan to the park. Yeah. It's great. It's just in the middle of everything.
Yeah, you can just stroll right around the corner onto Springfield Ave and get ice cream and coffee and pick up some paint at Riccardi's and do some kickboxing and grab all kinds of food. It's incredibly convenient that way. Talk about the third floor, because that, I think, is really a unique space.
Yes. Third floor, I wanted to be flexible, so it could be for a relative living up there, it could be for an au pair, or it could be for your teenager when they want to stretch themselves a little, and it's like a little apartment up there. It has a kitchen with a mini fridge and a sink, and you could have a hot plate there, so your mom could be living up there and feel comfortable. There's also an office space, so you yourself could be up there working and have a fridge. And the bedroom is, the windows in this house are big. I made the windows as big as possible because I have so much light next door and I love living in the light. So in the bedroom up there, it's like being in a treehouse.
It is.
Yeah.
And brand new Anderson windows. Obviously, everything is new, but that's pretty unique in Maplewood because the majority of homes here, like yours, are over 100 or 150 years old, and that comes with very old windows. So to know that they're all brand new is pretty amazing. Okay, so back down on the second floor, you have this glorious primary suite that then has great privacy from across the second floor landing. And then you talk about how you laid out the remainder of that second floor.
I very deliberately laid it out into parents and children. If you're going to buy this house and have children in it, your children will be on the other side of the hall. And I think that's a good thing.
I think it was very smart.
Yeah. So we have 3 bedrooms there. There's a laundry room, so that makes it so easy to do laundry and you can fold it in there. And then there's a hall bath at the end with a bath for bathing kids. And then you have your privacy on the other side. And I think that's, you know, if you can have it, it's a great thing to have.
Oh, it's fantastic. And those 3 bedrooms, I also really appreciate that you made them equal in size so that there can be no fighting over who got the larger bedroom, like happens at the Pollock household. But, you know, we have it presented with an opportunity for a nursery close to the primary, even though it is across the hall.
Yes.
A little one would still be nearby.
Right.
And then a slightly older child in the middle, and then you could go middle school, high school, down by the bathroom.
Right.
And then, like you said, once they're teenagers and you really want to kick them out, but you can't, they go to the third floor.
Yes.
Last but not least is the basement. Just talk about that space.
The basement is really accessible from here in the kitchen. What I wanted to do there was have a space where kids were free to play and paint and things like that. And then you could also watch movies down there, but you can hear them when you're upstairs in the kitchen. And then there's also the option of a family member who's maybe not able to get up the stairs to be there. So we have a nice full bathroom.
No, it's great. It's just that one flight of stairs down for a guest to
Right.
be in that versus going all the way to the third
Yes.
floor. But you've got options.
You're right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, the space I do just want to highlight for a second, because we're sitting in the kitchen. We've got the gorgeous dining room and then living room behind us. But we're at this massive island that's, what is it, 8 feet? 10 feet?
10 feet.
10-foot island.
Yeah.
And I can just see into the family room from here and the fireplace with the TV there. But this family room kitchen layout, like, this is the dream. We don't see this very often.
Right. And something that the architect and I talked about was, I don't like it when you're actually sitting in your kitchen of an evening. So we put the kitchen behind the family room because you can sit here, you can even eat at the island, you can have your dinner, and you can leave the dishes and not have to do them, not have to see them, and then you can sit and enjoy the family room because it's all behind you. So as long as you don't turn around,
Just
you don't see it.
That's right. Just
Right?
keep your eye on the movie.
Yes. So I did want them to be open, but again, I wanted it to be a semi-separate space, which is what it is because it's tucked around underneath the stairs and it's open to the kitchen. You can very easily serve there. You can have your parties there. You can have your family over and you can serve from the island, and it makes it easy to entertain in.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The difference between building a new house and renovating a house is when you renovate the house, you have the best of intentions and you open up the walls and you deal with what's there. So everything that you're doing in a renovation is retroactive to the bones of the house. So you run the HVAC along the existing beams. A new house is worked out on paper. We worked everything out on the plans. We had meeting upon meeting upon meeting, and then we worked out how we were going to build this to make it cost efficient and saving in energy. So the foundation is cast. It came here on giant cranes and it all fits together perfectly like a puzzle. And it's fully insulated and it has integrated French drains. We decided where we were going to put sump pumps for the best efficiency, not just where you can fit them in as you do if you add one in a renovation. And then all the windows fit. So even when you put new windows in an old house, you're working with the spaces you have unless you reframe everything. And it's just, everything is fully up to date. The siding is, it mimics wood. It looks like my house, but it's called hardy plank and it's cement. It has a lifetime guarantee. So you're never going to paint this house. The gutters are all new. Everything functions because it was all worked out and then it was just executed, which is the opposite of when you renovate. You open up and you're like, okay, so we can't do that. That doesn't happen when you're building new.
Yeah, that's remarkable. So, last question.
Yes.
What do you envision for this home over the next 100 years?
I think it will be standing beside mine. And I think it'll stand the test of time. The design is of the moment but classic, and hopefully everything is hard wearing. That was the desire when I chose the materials. And I think I just wanted to build a great home for a family and then subsequent families, and let's see how the history unfolds.
Well, whoever gets to live here is just so lucky, and they don't even know it yet. But I have a feeling they're going to wake up in this house next year, 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, and feel so grateful for your thoughtful consideration to the quality choices you made in building this home. And they're going to feel so connected to this community and to New York City. And like you said, raising their family and participating in this walk to town and just the vibrancy that comes with living in this particular location. And they're just so lucky and they don't even know it. So I thank you in advance for the future owner of this home for building such a special and beautiful home.
It has really been a joy to do it. It has been a joy to put all of these ideas into action and think about the best way that someone can live with beauty and practicality meshed.
Yeah. Well, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congrats.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say before we sign off?
That's it. I look forward to whomever is going to live next door to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you want to be Wendy's neighbor and get to live in this absolutely incredible home in Maplewood, New Jersey, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Vanessa Pollock, or any of the fine folks over at Pollock Properties Group of Keller Williams. We'd be honored to give you a private showing here, and we are honored to have been able to have this conversation today, and we look forward to seeing you around town. Thanks, everyone.